Hi everyone! In this video, I'll be walking you through how to set up your first tours and activities ads campaign. If you first just want to get a brief overview of what these ads are, check out the video linked below before you learn more about the setup. In this video, we'll be doing three things. 1. Set up your campaign. 2. Set up your feed. And 3. Schedule your feed. I'll explain what scheduling a feed is later. The first thing you need to do is sign into your Microsoft advertising account. If you don't already have one, you can click on the sign up button on the homepage that we're currently on. Otherwise, you can click on sign in and go ahead and log into your account. I'm already signed in over here. Once you log into your account, the thing you need to decide is which advertising account do you want to set up your tours and activities campaign in if you have multiple. I'm choosing my tours and activities account, but you can choose others right here. The next thing we do is click into campaigns. This is where you'll see a list of all of your current campaigns, and this is also where you can start creating a new campaign. So I'm going to click on create campaign right here. Once we've done that, the next thing to do is to decide what the goal of this campaign is. Something like conversions in my website or visits to my website are good ones for this ad type. Next, we're going to click on Search Ads and go next. The first thing we do here is to select a name for our campaign. Keep in mind, we require that you include the EMBD underscore as part of your name. You can place it in the middle, at the end, or at the beginning. I'm going to choose to put it at the beginning, and you can add other text after it. So you could name it Tours EMBD or EMBD Tours. Anything you like so long as that string is in the name. I'm going to name mine EMBD underscore Tours. Now we have to select a budget for our campaign. This is the amount of money that can be spent per day on these ad types within this campaign. I'm going to start with $100. This is a good beginner budget, especially for small to medium advertisers, because they will be able to measure their performance before deciding whether they want to increase or decrease their budget. Scrolling down further, we'll select the location of these ads. So where do these ads appear? Users in which regions will be able to see these ads? This is the question. If you want users in Canada and the United States to see your ads, you can just leave it selected to the first option. Otherwise, you can choose, let me choose specific locations. You can narrow down all the way to specific cities, states, regions, provinces, or multiple countries. So, for example, I'm going to choose London, United Kingdom, and Manchester, also United Kingdom. For these ad types, you should stay within one country for the targeting, because in a different country, the currency and language may be different. If you wanted, you could also choose Portland, for example, in the US, and New York State. So that is a state and a city in America. So the targeting can be as granular as you prefer. I'm going to delete these and keep it to just Manchester and London in the UK. The rest of these settings default are fine. You can choose your language if you want to target a non-English region, of course. And we can now go save and go to the next step. Here we'll be creating our ad groups. The first thing we do here is add in a website URL. For the website URL, you want to make sure to put in your generic website where you can land over at the beginning when someone is navigating. not a specific URL, which is a specific tour or anything like that. Mine will be margiestravel.com. Next thing we do is name our ad group. We can name our ad group whatever we want. Make sure to note down your campaign name and your ad group name since we'll need them later. Your ad group name can be something like tours or something longer if you would prefer that. The next thing we do is add in a dummy keyword. It is present in the setup guide and we will also put it in the description below. So you can feel free to just copy and paste it in here. We're setting up a tours and activities ad campaign and they are keywordless. That means that tours and activities ads do not use keywords to trigger. We use the information in your product feed to understand when to show your ads. This means that we'll set up a dummy keyword like this one that will never trigger to ensure that this remains a tour and activity campaign and will not serve as a regular text ad campaign ever. We highly recommend that you use exactly this keyword and not anything else so that we can make sure that these ads are not shown as text ads. We can now save and go to the next step. Now we have to create an ad for the ad group. This is similar to the keyword in that it will not be used. We are setting it up like so because you will then be able to see all the usual reporting as text ads and have the capabilities of them while setting up in a familiar set way. The first thing we do is change the ad type from responsive search ad to expanded text ad. The next thing we have to do is put in a final URL. This will be the displayed URL on the ad. This will not be the place that the user lands on when they click on your ad, but this will be displayed so that they can identify which company is advertising. So you should go ahead and put in similar to the URL that we put in earlier. Next thing we'll do is fill in the title with test for all of them. This is the same for the ad text. None of these will be used. If you choose to, you can put in a mobile URL too. Now we can save, and we have created our ad and our ad group. So now we can scroll to the bottom, past all of this, click on save and go to the next step. We've already set a campaign budget, so we can move past this. Make sure that your bid strategy is set to enhanced CPC because that is the only type that we support. Next, we will have to choose a specific bid. So you can select something like $1 for your bid because that is a good starting place. You can always increase and decrease it later. So we can just go ahead and save it at $1 right now. Now there's a few more things that we'll have to do. The first will be to click into the campaign and click into the ad group, like so. And now we see our keyword that we inserted earlier. Here the match type says broad. We want to change this to exact. So I'll click on the edit button right here and change it to exact and save. We have to do this because if we don't, that means that if someone searches for something similar to this keyword, we can show a text ad, which we don't want to do. Now that we've set it to exact match, this obscure keyword will not serve any text ads unless someone searches exactly this phrase. This is exactly what we want. Now the last step is to go to settings and go back to the campaign level by clicking on the campaign name here. Now we're in the campaign settings. You can check the campaign name here. We'll scroll all the way to the bottom, almost the bottom, and we'll see other settings. Under that, we click on audience ads in the dropdown, and we will change this to decrease by 100%, just to make sure that we don't serve on the MSAN segment for now. Now we can save that setting. Now our campaign is all completely ready to go. Once your campaign is created, you'll want to set up your tours and activities feed. The way you'll do that is by going to Tools right here, clicking on Business Data, and going to Dynamic Data Feeds on the left tab. Here we're going to click on Upload and choose Tours and Activities. We're going to name our feed file. We can name it anything. I'll name mine Tours Seed file. The next thing we'll do is to download the sample file. Go ahead and open this. So we can take a look at it together. Amazing. So now that we see, we'll go through each of these attributes. I'll tell you which ones are required and which ones are optional. And please make sure to fill in all the required fields because otherwise we cannot show your ads. Starting off with destination city. This is a required field. This is the city that your tour is based in. This is the duration. Duration is how long your tour or activity is for. This is the format that you'll place it in. The first two numbers are the number of days. The second two numbers are the number of hours, and the last two numbers are the number of minutes that your tour or activity is for. You do not need AM or PM in that. In your final URL, you'll place the URL of the tour that row is for. So each row will be a single product that you offer, and the columns will let you fill in details on each of those rows. And for the final URL, you should give the URL of that specific tour that row has information for. So this is what the user will go to when they click on the ad. Next is ID. This is any unique ID. Just make sure that the IDs don't repeat within a feed file, and you're good to go. This is the image URL. This is where we get the image that is shown on the ad from. Make sure that the image URL is less than 2,000 characters long. Next is primary category. This is not any set list of keys, so you can describe the category however you please. This is something that we use in our matching process, so make sure to be descriptive and short. Next is the starting price. This is the price that the tour or activity costs. Make sure to add in the abbreviation for the currency at the end. Next is the title. This is the title of the tour. So this is what will appear right at the top of the ad. Try to make it descriptive and attractive for the user. Those were all of the required fields we need about the specific tour or activity you're advertising. The rest of these, such as description, destination country, destination name, reviews, ratings, etc., are all optional. One additional required one is provider. You'll have to simply put in the name of your company here as the value for all of your rows. Lastly, scrolling right to the end, you'll see target campaign and target ad group. These are also required fields. For these two, make sure to fill in the name of the campaign that you created. In my case, it is EMBD Tours. I will leave it as it is. And also name your ad group as you named it in your campaign. My ad group's name was Tours. I've bolded these for your reference. You do not need to bold them in the actual feed. The rest of these values are all optional, so the more you fill them out, the better we'll be able to match. But at least initially, if you don't have that information, you don't have to provide it. I'm going to go ahead and save this file and go back to the UI of the Microsoft Advertising portal. Now we can go ahead and upload this feed right here. I will upload in preview, giving it a moment to load. It says that my valid count is 1 and my errors are 0. That means that everything went through as expected. But if you do see an error, here are some things that you can do. First, you can click on Download Results File. This results file will be able to show you in the last column of the feed, it will add an additional column and say exactly what the error is. Maybe you forgot to add one of the required fields, or maybe there was an error in some of the formatting, and that's probably why you get an error. You can also click on Upload History to see right here, to see a breakdown of which rows were successfully inserted and which ones had errors. If you don't know what the error means, you can always reach out to support for help. Next thing to do is to apply changes. Applying changes just finalizes the feed upload, and now I've uploaded it. So we're ready to go. We can go ahead and take a look at our feed by clicking on it after clicking done. Looking at this feed, you can see that everything got inserted just like expected, and I only had one row, so that's all there is, but for most advertisers, you would have multiple rows. You're uploaded. Now we just have to make sure to turn on our campaign so that the feed will be ingested. Within 48 hours, you should be serving ads. If you're not serving ads within 48 hours, here are some things you can take a look at. Go into your feed and look for a column, an additional column that you did not create, named editorial. Under that, you might see some values saying approved and some saying approved limited and disapproved. If that happens, go ahead and contact support so that they can make sure that those disapprovals get taken away. Next, you can also check if you did in fact enable all of your assets, your campaign, your ad group, your ad keyword, etc. Now that you're all set up, you're good to go. But if you want to do some advanced setup, then you can stay with me and we'll go over that right now. If you have feeds change frequently because their prices change or their inventory changes a lot, you may want to schedule your feeds. If you only have those changes once in a while, you can always change them in an Excel and re-upload that to update the feed. For example, if your company's dev team or feed management team had to create your feed, then you'll have to set up a feed schedule to make sure that the ads show the most new information. You'll have to have the team who manage the feed set it up to be available at an FTP or SFTP and give you the link, username, and password if there is a username and password. Then you're ready to set up your feed schedule. Click on the Schedules tab right up here, and you can say Schedule Feed Uploads. You can select when, meaning when you want to upload it. So once you've uploaded it, it will keep pulling from that link frequently, automatically, without your intervention. And if you choose, for example, every 6 hours, that means that every 6 hours, we will go in and check if there are any updates to your feed and go ahead and take note of them so that we can show the most updated information. Next, you can select time zone. And next, you can put in that URL that we just talked about. And if there's a username and password, you can put those and click on save. Make sure to put in just the root domain followed by the file name. We do not support subpaths. Once you've got that done, you're ready to serve. Once you do your feed setup, make sure to give it 48 hours to go live the first time you create a campaign. We just walked through how to set up your campaign, how to upload your feed, and we also covered an additional section which allows you to schedule your feed so it updates regularly. You can check out more details in the description below where we link other useful materials. Please reach out to support if you have any additional questions. Thank you for watching.